Hello and welcome to the SEO Bootcamp. I will be going over some basics and some hacks and tips and tools and tricks here today inside of SEO in order to help you achieve your goals. A little bit of background on myself. My name is Tom Ziegelbauer. I have been working with the web since 1994 when Mozilla and Netscape came out with version 1.0. Around 1998, I was sending 20 million emails a day, pioneering spam basically for all of you guys. But I've been involved in technology and marketing for a very, very long time. So I want to help empower you and give you some of the tools that you need in order to succeed in whatever your business is, because the web is a huge portion of that. And just a couple of tips right off the top. So first one being that if you build it, they will not come. That is not the way it works. You have to coax them to come to your funnel, to your website, whatever your web presence is. They are not going to automatically just show up. So you can spend thousands upon thousands of dollars, and I've seen this along the way, is where you can work with a web developer and a web designer, and you can spend all this money in order to set up this really great looking website. But one of the things that philosophies that I have is, if it's not making you money, it's art. So and then it's even worse that it's art, and I live here in Colorado, Denver, Colorado, right outside of the foothills. It's like having art up in the mountains in a mountain town that no one's going to see it. So we need to actually have it make money for you, or it's not worth the return on the investment in terms of what you put into it. So second thing is, your SEO marketing strategy has to adapt over time. Why is that super important? Because if you don't keep up and be fleet-footed on this, your competition is guaranteed to pass you by. And there's been a lot of things over time where certain SEO strategies that worked 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, will actually hurt you in the future. So if you aren't adapting to the changes, Google makes somewhere on average 3 changes per month to their algorithm in order to make it better. If you aren't keeping up with those, or the major trends of things that are happening, you will look at your search engine rankings and you'll go, why? I don't understand why people aren't finding me. You're going to see a drop off in sales. You're going to see a drop off in customers and clients, which we don't want to have happen. So a good example of that, just a story. So keywords used to be one of the big things in terms of SEO strategy in order to have your page rank higher. And so people would game the system. They would stuff in all of these keywords. They'd put in white text on a white background on their pages. Google got smart to that. And now if you employ some of those strategies, it will actually hurt you, and they will penalize you in terms of their analytic strategies to put you on their ranking and their pages. Other things like description, something called a meta description, and some code behind the scenes. So when you're doing a search on Google and you see the title maybe of the page or the title of the website, and then you see a small description underneath there, that was another way in order to be able to basically keyword stuff and put a lot of text into there for things that you wanted to rank on. That is more of a psychological type of thing in order to get people to click on your page or your site or your funnel. or whatever your web presence is, but that is not as important these days and can actually hurt you, again, if you don't follow some of the rules. Page design, same thing. We moved from this session in terms of where you wanted to have all of these graphics and videos and moving this and moving that. What we've now seen over time is that because of the way that Google and these other search engines are looking at the experience of the page, that can actually hurt you as well. So just need to be on top of it, be aware of some of the major trends of things that are going on, and I'll cover some of those as we're going through this bootcamp here today. Second tip is SEO is like fitness. You need to develop a habit or you won't see long-term results. And if you fall off the wagon on that, you will gain pounds, or your site will fall out of favor with these search engines here. So just something that by putting a little bit of a habit every single week, you will see your page ranking become more and more consistent over time and outperform other pages where they aren't putting in the same care. Couple of definitions. So we've been talking about SEO. What does SEO stand for? A lot of people throw this term around, but what does it really mean? So SEO stands for search engine optimization. Breaking it down and making it really, really simple. All that means is, what are the efforts that you're putting into your web presence in order to gain favor with the search engines? So are you developing good content? Are you developing link strategies? Are you doing the things that are going to bring you favor with the search engine? The next, I think, even bigger terminology is something called SERP. It's search engine ranking position, because you can do all you want in terms of SEO, but if you're not really focusing on the bottom line, it's like sales. If you're not focused, if you're focused on experience, but you're not getting any sales, that's not the result that most people would want, right? Most people want to rank on page 1 there, and they want to show up in Google local searches and things like that in order to be able to be found. If you're not focused on the end result, which is really that SERP or search engine ranking position, you're really missing the boat. Let's talk about indexing. So indexing is where the search engines will come through the site periodically, depending on how often you're updating content, and they're going to see changes, and then they're going to then go through that page. It's something called spidering, and they'll look through those pages. They'll be looking for certain content keys. They'll be looking for images and context in terms of what's actually on that particular page. And one of the ways that they do that is this thing called a Sitemap.xml. All that is a file on the back end of your website. This is typically done automatically. It's just an easy way, or it's a pointer, or it's almost like a post office in order to be able to find other parts of your site for the search engines to go through it systematically in order to be able to be efficient as possible, because they have millions upon millions upon millions, if not billions of websites out there that they have to go through. But it's some signals for them. Another key is something called domain authority. Domain authority basically is how many links or searches for your web presence. You can think of it this way. If you look at celebrities as an example, who are the A-listers, who are the B-listers, who are the C-listers, who are the people that you've never even heard about before? The higher your domain authority, it's one of the signals, and that's another terminology, but one of the signals that Google and other search engines use in their algorithms in order to be able to increase or decrease your SERP or your search engine ranking position. So there's lots of strategies, and that's been a big focus here, especially as a differentiator over the last 5 years, in order to set yourself apart and actually move yourself up in terms of SEO ranking. This is another big thing, something called Page XP, Website XP, UX, and UI. So I'll go through each one of those. So Page XP, or Page Experience, Website Experience. This is something that Google has already announced in 2021 that will be a fundamental shift in terms of the way that is indexing and ranking pages from now on. What does that mean? So it's how people interact with your particular web presence. So for instance, if you have a cluttered page that it has a poor UX or user experience or UI, the way that the page is made up, user interface, that will hurt you in the future. They're already starting to see some of that through the way that these pages are being indexed. So it used to be the vast majority of your traffic would be coming from a browser on your desktop or your laptop. We've seen that a significant change, especially over the last 5 years, where we're now seeing 60+% of traffic now coming from a mobile device, your tablet, your iPad, your phone. And that is the key way that your sites are being looked at by a machine, by Google right now. It's called mobile indexing first. So they're taking a look at what is the user experience or that UX on a mobile device. What is the content that is being delivered? Here's another terminology for you, above the fold. So what is actually visible on your phone when you have a browser up on your computer? What is actually being seen on that screen there? That content that is on the screen is going to rank higher and help you versus stuff down at the bottom of the screen. Because here's just a basic statistic for you. 75% of your web visitors will not scroll beyond what they see above the fold. So where should you place most of your user experience, your user interface, and your content? Above the fold. Otherwise, it's going to be lost to most of your users. Another user experience thing that is a signal for these search engines that they're now tracking is your page speed. Page speed is super important. For every second that it takes your page to load beyond 1, you can see anywhere from a 10 to 50% drop off in terms of conversions. Why is that important? Most people have a business and they want sales, right? So if you're providing them a poor experience, that's going to lead into something else called a bounce. A bounce is somebody has come into your page or your website experience, whether it be a funnel or you name it, and they will have zero interaction with your page and they're gone. The higher your bounce rate, that's a percentage of how many people have come to your page and actually had some type of interaction with it. They've clicked on a link, they've played a video, they've had something where they've gone to another page, they've gone through the menu. That will decrease your bounce rate. So what are some of the call to actions that you can have as part of your web experience in order to be able to keep them on your site. Also, you can encounter bounces because if they haven't been there for a minute or more, they can count as a bounce because they had no interaction with that. What are some ways to get around that? You can provide them a video, have them have some sort of interaction with your site or your web experience in order to be able to keep them engaged with you. So bounce rate is a big one. We talked about above the fold. Then I want to kind of wrap this up. I mean, this was boot camp, some basics here to get you in the game and get you to a point where you can be empowered and you can feel like, oh yeah, I've heard about this thing called SEO, or I've heard about this, or I've heard about that, to give you a platform to build off of. And I'll give you some more videos along the way where we'll dive into these topics individually here, because we could spend all day just on page speed and how to help your site with that. And that will be one of the trainings that I will do for you. So here's some tools of the trade, some basics of things that you will want to implement, or some things that you'll want to be aware of that are out there. So I'll give you a big bonus at the end here. Thank you for sticking with me this long. First one is Google Analytics. You've probably heard of this. Most people know about Google. Google Analytics is a free tool. Free, doesn't cost you a dime. It is the metric or the software that is available for us in order to be able to track user metrics on your web presence. So how many people have visited your site? How many people, what are the paths that people are taking through your site? How many unique visitors? How many unique clicks? How many people have converted? There's all sorts of things that you can do with that, but that's a basic, it's a couple lines of code that gets embedded into every page in your web presence. You copy and you paste it into something called the head or the top of your documents. It's read, send some information back to Google about what's going on, and has some tracking in there. So Google Analytics, again, we can spend hours and hours on that. Next, we have, I just said Google, and so my phone is like picking up. Next is the Google Search Console. Google Search Console is another free tool from Google. All it is connecting up. If you have that Google Analytics code already installed on your website, you can also log into the Google Search Console, and it's a great way not only to tell Google, hey, I have a website, I want to be indexed, I want to be found. You can then start to run some analytics where it will show you, here's how you're being found. Here's some of the keywords that people are searching for to find you on Google, and then clicking through, it'll tell you for whatever period of time that you want to take a look at. And it will also tell you where maybe there's some pages that might be failing. So their page speed may be really bogging down your site. Home pages are notorious for this, where you'll want to put all of your information on this landing page or this home page, and then it's taking seconds, like 6 seconds for your site to load. Well, it's going to give you some reporting back on that. Yoast is an SEO tool that has some automations built into it. So as you're building pages and posts inside of your web presence, this is on WordPress, another free tool. It automatically will create some of the SEO tags that are super important in order to be able to push up to Google and help you be found. If you don't have a tool like that, it's a manual process usually, and you are having to put in that information yourself. And it's super time consuming. I mean, we used to have to do that by hand. There's no reason to do that by hand anymore. Although there are a lot of free services like Wix and GoDaddy sites that don't have that, where you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot by using some of those page builder tools because of that. There's a tool called Hotjar and Crazy Egg. They are two major tools to do something called heat mapping. Heat mapping allows you to actually record videos as people are coming through the site. It will take a snapshot of your pages, and then literally, just like they have those heat tools where they can do heat imaging through walls and things like that, and you see red and blue, and for cooler colors, red, you'll see these patterns develop in your pages. So maybe your menu bar, especially above the fold, has a lot of red and a lot of clicks in that area. But as you move down the page, then it turns more blue or cold because people aren't interacting with your page there. So Hotjar and Crazy Egg, two other tools. Both of those have free trials, and then there are paid versions beyond that. But it gives you a good snapshot in terms of interactions. We just had a situation where for one of the funnels that we're using, there was a video that was on the first page of that. What did we see when we ran some of the heat map analysis on that? One, no one was staying to watch the entire video. So that's some pretty good insight. Then you can also see where people are clicking through the path of that and how long it's actually taking them maybe to get through your funnel. Super important. Page speed tools. This is a key signal for search engines. Google has a free one. You can just point your pages right to page speed insights. There's also another tool called Gmetrix out there. Webpagetest.org is another one that I've used in the past, and I run them across the board. They will tell you, hey, here's some areas where your site can improve, and they will give you, here's things that passed, here's things that you're doing really well, here's things, it's like a fitness coach, here's some things that you can improve upon, and then you can rerun those tasks. Then it's like a blood test. Oh, hey, do I have an infection or not? And go back and fix it. This is your bonus. This is something that SEO masters like Neil Patel, Moz as an example, never talk about. And this is a tool that I've found that, especially if you are starting at a website or you've had a website that's been out there for a while and is just not getting the traffic, or you're not increasing your SERP over time, or you've seen your SERP drop, there's a tool out there, there's a service called SERP Clicks, C-L-I-X. SERPclicks.com. Used them before in the past a number of times. Imagine being able to drive traffic to your website where you can pick the keywords. So these are live people. They you give them the keywords that you want for them to search, say, on Google. They will find you. They will click on whatever link you want them to click on, and then you give them a secondary command. So let's say you want them to come to your home page, and then you want them to go to your products page. You give them that thing. You say, I want to rank for Rent Furniture Denver. I want to be #1. You pay them a certain amount of money. They also have a free trial, so you can try it out and see if it works for you. You'll get a number of free credits from them. You put that in, you will get hundreds, thousands of live people clicking on your website from a search engine, this is bringing you organic traffic. It's showing the search engines, or it's teaching Google that your site is important because people are finding it and they're clicking on it. This is another signal that most SEO people will not tell you about. This is a trick or a hack I found. Who knows how long it will help? But today, it's one of these unknown things that this company should be making millions upon millions of dollars. I'm not a paid affiliate for them. In fact, I just checked with them this morning. I'm like, hey, do you have an affiliate program? Because I'm going to be talking about you again. I provided them a great testimonial on their site a number of months back because I do feel it's such a great service. But check out SERP Clicks, SERPCLIX.com as a easy way in order to be able to bring your website traffic, increase your SERP on Google. Here's a real life example. We took a website that was on page 6, so 60 in the ranking. It is now on page 1, and it's consistently somewhere between 9 to rank 4. That's huge, because if you're anything beyond page 1, you might as well, you're not going to get found. So great tool. I will put some links down in the description there for you, so you have it. Hopefully this helps. Again, this was an SEO bootcamp, get you some of the terminology, get you some of the knowledge here to build a foundation upon. I'll build some more videos for you in the future. Thanks for watching.